So this is the edition timed at 2010 GMT, which is timed at correspondingly 2110 British Standard Time, so-called, on Thursday, the 22nd of September 2022. This is BabyAngelGeronimo Editions KhoodeelaarTV television channel, 2010 GMT, Thursday, 22nd September 2022. Editor Muhammad Haque, created, devised, written, presented, and edited by Muhammad Haque. These are the editorial assertions and data. That Muhammad Haque is me, and I'm going to talk about the continuing topics and issues that we have been talking about over the last few editions. And we should probably add a few bits and pieces here and there. Now, these are the papers of Thursday. And the only paper that has on the front page or anywhere really prominently, the Times has got a token piece, but the main Fleet Street papers are still kind of in denial of the truth about the world, and especially they're now talking about Putin. Biden condemns Putin's imperial aims as Moscow raises the stakes. That is the Guardian. And the Murdoch scum has resumed the attack on Rebecca Vardy. Rebecca Vardy has been attacked by the scum and the Mail and the other mainstream media, which collectively has taken the side of Colleen Rooney. By all accounts, as I read the contents and the reports and the accounts and the descriptions, Colleen Rooney is a nasty piece of work, and Rebecca Vardy is a victim of Colleen Rooney, and Colleen Rooney is continuing to manipulate the propaganda machine with the collusion of the Murdoch scum and the criminals at the Daily Mail. Now, let's see Thursday's scum. Front page has got 7.9 million. It's a postcode lottery, People's Lottery advertisement. So what is the actual scum cover is saying? The cover is showing an almost naked leg of Holly Willowy. Holly hung out to dry, and it's all connected with the fact that she broke the queue in the queue form to see Brenda lying in state. That shows the stupidity of the Little Englanders, because only the Daily Mirror has got a real news item. Should come to that now. This is the Daily Mirror of, is it showing? It may not be showing because of the camera angle, etc., etc. What it is murder probe reward. And it's about the little girl, Olivia. Olivia, age 9, was murdered at her home as she stood behind her mom. Both of them were attacked by two two evil thugs who invaded their territory, their home, chasing one another, whatever. And despite the fact that there has been widespread outrage at the little child being murdered, this murderer, the actual one who pulled the trigger, has yet to be found. Amazing. We shall talk about the police because there is a piece in the Times of Thursday. It's about the police, the Metropolitan Police. Let's that piece is actually contextually very relevant. This is the Times of. Remember, Times is owned by Dr. Digger Murdoch. And so therefore we don't have to repeat every time that the Times is owned by Dr. Digger Murdoch. No, none of the Fleet Street titles escapes the evidential condemnation it warrants. Now, the Daily Mirror is acquitting itself today, that is Thursday, by devoting at least that piece about the child, little child, this Olivia, on its front page. She'll go back to the Mirror and the reward in a minute. I'm looking for the Times piece about the Metropolitan Police, and there is a number of items about murders and the child Molly Russell, who was a victim of the social media, etc., etc. And she is featured in a piece about the social media still influencing young people. Now, here on page 15 of the Times of Thursday, the 22nd of September 2022, there is a 3-column heading: Victims of crime routinely let down by Scotland Yard. Now, Scotland Yard is the name for the Metropolitan Police, and it harks back to an era when the Scotland Yard was supposed to be the go-getting, smart, crime-busting outfit. It never was. But the mythology was created, and the two words Scotland Yard became kind of established as the synonym, as the other name for the most efficient detective police force in the whole world, which is absolute rubbish. Now, that is the confession here. The victims of crime routinely let down by Scotland Yard. Now, it was the Times newspaper, same title, but I think it was more than a decade before Dr. Digger Murdoch took over the Times ownership. I think the Times is the one that actually published for the first time a definitive, detailed story or series of stories, reports that is, about the corruption in the Metropolitan Police. That was in the, let's say, 1960s, 70s. Now, after that, in contextual terms, in terms of the role of Fleet Street, which is very passive and very kind of submissive, and it's hardly ever publishes anything critical about the establishment, really. Most certainly not about the police. So this police kind of failure was highlighted 50 years ago, or more than 50 years ago. So what happened about the failures being highlighted? Nothing. 50 years plus on, the Times is having to run this headline: victims of crime routinely let down by Scotland Yard. That is a moderate heading. Now, yesterday I spoke about the 1976 engagement with the racists in the Metropolitan Police that we experienced in the East End of London. That was 2 years before. 2 years before Altavali was murdered in the Altavali Park, which is named after him, but it was called the Ichi Park. Siloti যদি ঘুরে তর্জমা করি দেখলে খাজলি পার্ক, ইচি মানে খাজলি, ইনো বইলেও গাছের মাঝে মানুষের খাজলি হইতো, খাওজাইতো। Now, after the Times published that expose about the corruption in the Metropolitan Police, there was the routine expression of concern, etc., by various political elements. But nothing changed. Now, that was some years. That was some years before the police were condemned for the way they handled the so-called Brixton riot of 1981. And the Brixton riot of 1981 was a kind of follow-up to the Bristol riots earlier 1981. So the Bristol riot being followed by Brixton riot was followed by similar expressions of anger, mainly by the African Caribbean background young people living in the cities of Liverpool, Leeds, Birmingham, Manchester, and parts of the East End of London. In Tower Hamlets in 1981, the Gulamar Fuaintore, Dolal Fuaintore, Dolali Horaise, Arita Fuaintore, a speech this oin, তারার বাফাইন্তর গেছে, তারা সামলাইছেন বলেই তা রায়ট, টাওয়ার হামলেটস রায়ট হইতে তারা দিছেন না। এই যে ইমরান খানের যেটা খবর আর কি, সুরর ফুয়াইন, সুর অকলটি পাকিস্তানর। তো টাওয়ার হামলেটসও কিছু গুলাম ফুয়াইনতে লুকাই লুকাই গিয়া তারার বাফার লগে পুলিশের লগে গোপনে মিটিং করছেন, করিয়া তারা 12 কইজন মেলা ইটা আমরা এনে কোনো দরকার নাই, আমরা কোনো ক্রিমিনাল কোনো এরিয়া নাই, আমরা হইলাম কি পিস লাভিং। এই মাখালের ফুয়াইন পিস লাভিং কিলারে তোমরা 2 বছর আগে আলতাবালিরে পিস লাভিং আলতাবালিরে মারলো, এর বাদে তোমরা খাও কিলার তোমরা পিস লাভিং মাখালের ফুয়াইন, গোলামর ফুয়াইন। সকলটির ইমিগ্রেশন স্ট্যাটাস কোয়েশ্চনেবল, সকলটিয়ে তারা আর আত্মা বেশি লাগছেন, তারা রেইসিস শয়তানর গেছে। খার পক্ষ থেকে তোমরা মাতিলে ফুয়াইন? That was 1981. And the result of the particular encounters in 1981 in Brixton, not Bristol, but in Brixton, in the London borough of Lambeth in London. These encounters were followed by the appointment of Leslie Scarman, a licensed law trader and a judge, High Court judge, to lead what has been known as the Scarman Report. Now, in Britain, this is one of the sickest things that happens. They appoint a report, they appoint a commission of inquiry. And the commission of inquiry makes any number of recommendations which are forgotten. Now, that is the way that they deal with anger and outrage. They don't actually solve their problems. They never solve the problems, but they actually deal with the expression of anger and outrage. For example, it happened after the Grenfell Tower massacres of June 2017. The man who has been appointed as the Grenfell Tower massacres investigator, they don't say it massacres, it was a massacre, they say it, people died. Our campaign is consistent in saying from the very beginning that these people are murdered, massacred. And I shall come back to the reason, the main reason why we call it massacres. So the Grenfell Tower massacre inquiry being given to another retired judge or something provoked typical outrage and protests from people who knew that this particular individual would not be unearthing the truth. Just as, it happened with Richard Morey. Richard Morey's so-called election court that produced the result on the 23rd of April 2015 and condemned Luther Rahman and condemned Alibor Chaudhry. This particular election held in May 2014 and it was being followed by the formal filing of the petition by Andy Arlam and Azmal Hussain and Debbie Simon and a UKIP supporter woman. Now, none of the four petitioners against Luther Rahman had ever taken a position, a stand that was recognized in the population in Tower Hamlets as being of any relevance to the actual quality and fact of the role of the local Tower Hamlets Council. And that includes Debbie Simmons as well. Despite the fact that I differentiate between Debbie Simmons and the other three, simply on the ground of the differences that exist between her and the other three. It is not because I accept that Debbie Simmons politically has been doing the right thing. I don't. I think Debbie Simmons is a frustrated individual in Tower Hamlets, and she has not found the platform or the political associations to do what she thinks she should be doing, and that includes the holding to account of the local Tower Hamlets Council. Debbie Simmons and Andy Arlam. Debbie Simmons and Andy Arlam are the two that, compared to Azmal Hussain and the UKIP woman, had some public presence in the narrow sense. But if either of them was given the chance to articulate what they wanted in the local Tower Hamlets Council, I don't think they would be able to answer. Now, that was a serious, absolutely serious deficit, because Fleet Street and the racists in the mainstream media kept reporting on these petitioners as if they were some kind of heroes. As I've been saying, they would have been entitled to be given a positive gloss and positive publicity description if they were doing anything in terms of articulating what they were petitioning about and why they thought Lutfur Rahman had been a liar and a fraudster and a thief. All the evidence that were presented before Richard Morey against Lutfur Rahman, all the evidence that were presented before Richard Morey would have been enough to constitute at least 20 separate criminal prosecutions against Lutfur Rahman himself. So, the fact that there was no prosecution of Lutfur Rahman, despite the evidence, is the kind of thing that this piece in the Times today is reminding of. Victims of crime routinely let down by Scotland Yard. That is the Metropolitan Police. Now, the Metropolitan Police has, since the Metropolitan Police had been given state approval by the creation of the post of the Mayor of London at the expense of London, that is, the Metropolitan Police was given that particular kind of platform called the Metropolitan Police Authority, MPA, and it was supposed to be chaired. It is supposed to be chaired by the holder of the post of mayor at the expense of London. Now, that was an impossibility because no incumbent in the post of mayor of London or The Metropolitan Police, as an organization of about 30,000 employees, became included in the executive mayor of London's briefs. And constitutionally, this kind of particular so this is the thing that we'll be talking about. The Metropolitan Police, the Mayor of London, and the Metropolitan Police's persistent, mysterious refusal to prosecute Luthuraman over the crimes the Luthuraman committed, and the evidence of the crimes were uncovered by the accountant's firm that did the audit, all the farms and all the actual kind of all the evidence and the perpetrations and the decision making and actions had been there for ages without any action being recommended by the Tower Hamlets Council. Tower Hamlets Council was being so that is Metropolitan Police saying that, well, the Times saying that the victims of crime routinely let down by Scotland Yard. Now that is in Metropolitan Police area. What about the murder of Olivia, the 9-year-old child Olivia? Her full name is Olivia Pratt Corbell. Because in Liverpool, the post of elected mayor has been an additional corruption and crime and criminality against the people of the areas covered by the post. And during the years of the existence of the mayor post, nothing has been reported. Nothing has been reported about Liverpool saying in any way that because of the post of the mayor, crime in Liverpool is decreasing, etc., etc. Now, I know that this broadcast is being monitored by whoever monitors these. And there are spies that are always watching our output. We take that as a given. But the essential test of veracity of what we say is in the fact that despite our publicly stating long facts and correlations about the failures of the police, about the racism of the Metropolitan Police, no member of the mayor's office has contacted us or contacted me to deny the allegations that have been made by both the Times and the Daily Mirror, which is that in the population in Liverpool, there is nobody who has the heart the decency to come out. The killer of this 9-year-old child hasn't got the heart or the decency to come out and confess. So the Daily Mirror is saying that if you can't find it in your heart to help catch Olivia's killer, how about £200,000? Now that's the catch, which shows that instead of doing the job that they're paid for, the police are for hire in Liverpool, in the context of Liverpool. There is no comment whatsoever anywhere that the local council in Liverpool has failed abysmally. The creation of a post of mayor, either in Liverpool or anywhere else, is a creation of a criminality. Because there is no evidence that since the post was created, whenever it was created, the mayor, at the expense of Liverpool, has played any part in contributing to the overdue movement for the reduction, for the ending of the criminality and criminal behavior from the police. The right of the beginning of the piece in the Daily Mirror, which is byline to Stephen White, it says a record £200,000 reward has been offered to help catch the killer of little Olivia Pratt Corbett. And the police chief told of his disgust at the sick wall of silence in Liverpool's gangs, which is protecting the thug. Now, what does it say about Britain, democratic country, where rule of law prevails? Rule of law rules. I mean, it's ironic, isn't it? Then in Pakistan, even during Thursday, Imran Khan appeared in the Islamabad High Court as part of the prosecution of him, etc., etc. That Imran Khan has been playing second fiddle. We shall come to Imran Khan's playing second fiddle. We'll go back to the Liverpool situation. The Liverpool mayor, whoever the mayor is at the given time, Liverpool, of course, is contaminated by serial criminality among the politicos. One of the most widely known politicos in Liverpool in the last, let's say, 40 years has been Derek Hutton. Hatton belonged to the thing that used to be called the militant. It was supposed to be an entryist outfit staging the Trotskyist political entry into the Labour Party. Well, Derek Hatton didn't succeed, and nor did any of the others that operated with him. And when the latest mayor, Joe Anderson, was arrested about December or thereabouts, the news of Anderson's arrest included news that Derek Hatton had been arrested as well. So, what kind of revolution was Derek Hatton on about when he was in the militant and trying to take over the Labour Party? There have been far too many dishonest political stunts in Liverpool, in Merseyside, and thereabouts. Unlike Pakistan, where Imran Khan is doing a different kind of approach, I shall come to talking about that different kind of approach. The revolutionaries in Liverpool have failed the people of Liverpool, and it's nothing to do with what Neil Kinnock condemned the militant tendency, and the militants controlled Liverpool City Council in the mid 1980s. The Scotland Yard expose by the Times 50 years ago should have been followed by a thorough redesigning of policing in this country. Nothing happened like that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 series, the serially in place commissioners of the Metropolitan Police have been mentioned in connection with the criminality that the Times reported 50 years ago. And there is no evidence that things will change, even despite the fact that the Times is saying victims of crime routinely let down by Scotland Yard. Now, what has to be understood about the police, the institution of the police in the UK, is that because the UK is a country without any written constitution, everything is unwritten, everything kind of like dubious. We shall talk about the debate in the Surah Al-Isra, the debate between the Shaitan and Allah. We shall talk about that and the promise that Shaitan made that he would delude people. We shall look at the extent to which the slogan Pakistan ka matlab ke la ilaha illallah is sincerely, genuinely, comprehensively, completely understood by Imran Khan himself. So this particular edition we are stopping at 2047 for reasons that we shall come back to in the next part, and we shall expand on the policing crisis.